G'day, Jason the Middle-Aged Gear Junkie here. Auto wah and envelope filter are two effects that often get mistaken for each other. But what is an auto wah and what is an envelope filter? I'm running through my Fender Deluxe Reverb and I'm using the neck pickup of my P90 loaded Les Paul. Envelope filter is what we call a dynamic effect, which means that it is controlled by the volume in which you play the guitar. So if you are mixing up your volume, it's going to sound different. And you can come up with some really cool effects by doing that. But one of the problems is that you're going to get very sharp peaks and troughs. If you suddenly hit it a little harder than normal, you could really hurt somebody's ears. So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of what that's like. So I've set it to bandpass mode. So to control it, it's a good idea to run a compressor after it, not before. That is really important because a compressor will even out all of your dynamics and it will limit the effect that the Q-Tron is going to have. So I'm going to run a compressor after it, and what that's going to do is just stop any really loud notes that I might play from blowing your ears out. And as you hear, when the signal gets lower in terms of volume, it starts to change. So you activate the filter by hitting the strings. That's softly. If I hit it a little harder, it'll open the filter a little more. And it's slowly closing up there. So that was bandpass, which is my personal favorite. Now, high pass means that it's just letting the high frequencies pass. So this can be a little bit shrill and a little bit hard on the ears. Now, it's easy to forget that I'm still on the neck pickup there. And low pass lets through the low frequencies. And we lose a lot of the top end. But I think this effect on guitar works best in a band pass mode. Now, the drive knob here is like a sensitivity knob. If I turn it all the way down, it's not going to react as much. Which basically all the way down, I think that's pretty much useless. If I turn it up a bit. If I turn it all the way up. All right, and if I turn it back to where I had it, that's kind of, for me, the sweet spot for this pedal. Now, this pedal is not set to a speed, so it will only react at the speed in which I play. So if I play faster, this effect will do its thing a little quicker. And you get that sort of wobble board effect. Envelope filter is an effect that works really well with drive. So I'm going to be using the MI Blues Pro, and that's going to be after both the envelope filter and the compressor. Now let's try a cheaper one and see if that sounds any different. So as you can hear, there's a massive difference between these two pedals. That's still a cool sound, but it's, for me, an envelope filter is much more obvious and in your face, and the Moore doesn't react as much to your pick attack as the Q-Tron here does. So this is what auto wah sounds like. I'm going to hold a chord and then I'm going to turn on the auto wah so you can hear its effect coming in. So it's like somebody rocking backwards and forwards on a wah pedal constantly at the same speed. That is one of the biggest differences, because this does not react at all to how hard I'm picking. It just keeps reacting at that same speed, which is the rate which is set here. So if I turn that down, now again, I reckon this has a fairly funky application. The depth here is how much of the auto wah effect I've got in my signal. Having it at a quicker speed like that, I mean, that does sound a little bit similar to envelope filter, but with the envelope filter, I am controlling the speed, whereas this has got a preset speed. So I'm going to add a little bit of compression here. So this is a similar sounding effect, but the biggest difference is how it's controlled. So this is totally controlled by the knobs and where they're set. This manual knob, I have no idea what that does. It does a thing, but I mean, it's supposed to add some sort of modulation, but it doesn't do anything really. Now, auto wahs also sound good with drive. So, like the Moore envelope filter, I think that the Funky Monkey here, it's in the ballpark. It gives you a bit of a flavour of that effect, but it's not as pronounced as the Boss. So let's hear these effects back to back now so we can really establish how different they are. Now it's worth noting that the Boss here has a sensitivity knob which basically turns it into an envelope filter. So if I turn my volume back up, once I turn that sensitivity knob up, it takes out of play the rate knob. And once the volume gets under a certain amount, the auto wire takes over again. So if I turn the sensitivity right up, it basically takes the rate out completely. So, I mean, as a envelope filter, does it sound similar? So in filter mode, the auto wire does sound very similar to the Q-Tron. As I said before, envelope filter, or in this case, envelope follower, same thing, different name, is a dynamic effect. And because it's a dynamic effect, when you're using just a clean sound with no compression, you can get really steep peaks and troughs in your volume, which can be really both irritating to your audience, but also can really hurt your ears. So I always recommend, if you're going to play clean, have a compressor after the envelope filter. They're an extremely cool effect. They've been on plenty of records that you would have heard. Superstition, for example, by Stevie Wonder. He's using a Neutron envelope filter on his keyboard to get that sound that he gets. They're used on bass quite a lot. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers is a big fan. So Psycho Sexy, the bass line in that uses an envelope filter. So they are an effect that can be used on just about any instrument. They sound really cool when used well. The reason I was playing a lot of sort of funky sort of stuff today was because these sorts of pedals really lend themselves to rhythmic playing because they react to your pick attack. So they're really cool for that sort of thing. Now, although auto wire sounds pretty similar, it is actually quite a different effect to play with. Because it doesn't react to your dynamics, it sort of just does what it's told. So there's less variables. You don't have to run a compressor with this. I think when you listen to it, it does sound quite similar, but when you're playing with it, it is completely different. So that's something to be aware of. You know, if you want something to be able to set and forget, auto wire is the way to go. Like I said, with this particular one, because it's got a sensitivity knob there, when you turn that up, it takes the rate out of play and it actually becomes an envelope filter of sorts. So I know Boss have a newer version of this called the AW3, and that has more sort of envelope filter options on there. But it is a useful effect. The funny thing is I cannot actually think of any song, any famous song that uses this effect. So maybe that's a challenge for somebody out there to go and write a song using an auto wire. It's worth pointing out that a lot of these pedals are going to sound different depending on the manufacturer as well. So for example, you might have tried a DoD envelope filter and not liked it, but you could try an EHX one and find out that you do like it. So just because you don't like one manufacturer's version of a type of effect doesn't mean that you're not going to like it. And that's part of the reason why I had two different brands there to demonstrate that. So if you enjoyed this video or you got something out of it, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Remember, you can join the Middle Age Gear Junkie Facebook community by clicking on the link which I've put in the description. Other than that, my name is Jason. I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep it funky. See you later.